Basketball is almost back, and it's time to get excited. Or should you? Welcome to the PHLY Sixers podcast.
Come on, hitting people with a riddle to start.
Presented by the Xfinity Lounge. As always, and our show is presented by Rothman Orthopedics. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY. And if you're looking for that new vehicle, our other presenting sponsor, Ford, visit your local Ford store. Along with Derek, Kyle, I'm Devon Bree. She's the president of basketball ops. All of you in the chat, great to have you with us as we start things off. Again, inching closer and closer to the start of basketball season, media day, training camp, preseason games in Abu Dhabi against the Knicks. It's all getting closer, and we're going to talk about some of that today and why you maybe should get excited again. They pulled you right back in. But first, got to tell you about our good people that we've teamed up with for the month. Again, it's the month of giving for Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and we focused last week on donations, and we are still asking for those donations, but we're also discussing about signing up to become a Big Brothers, Big Sisters mentor movement has persisted for more than 120 years, and during Big Brothers, Big Sisters month, we celebrate matches at every stage. Join the mentorship movement this Big Brothers, Big Sisters month and help us create more moments of impact that will last a lifetime. Again, 120 years of mentorship, a lifetime of impact. It all started, a little movement in 1904, and it has evolved into this big transformation of mentorship 120 years later. And we hope to continue that, and you can sign up now. So you can do that by, number one, if you want to donate, you can look at, while you're on YouTube, look at the page right there, scroll down, you'll see the donate button. Tap that, bang, try to reach that goal of 50,000 for the month of September. And then you can also start to do some research, if you will, again, on Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and a way for you to sign up. So all of that is right available to you, not only on our YouTube, but also when you go to our page, our allphly.com. So if you could do that, we would really appreciate that. Once again, it's the month of giving, so give and even sign up to become a Big. All right, let's get into it here. Fellas, as we discuss, we've gotten a lot of questions. Kyle, you've talked about it. Derek, you've discussed it. And just the questions of, I was actually talking to someone, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, season ticket holder. And they were like, they got me again. I couldn't help myself. I had to get the ticket package.
Talking like he got pulled over for speeding
they
in
got,
a school zone or
got
something.
them again.
Like, damn.
And they did it, Derek, but because basketball is as frustrating as the 24 wins, 58 losses a season ago, they could not pull themselves away from supporting their basketball team. And now that they have some of these young guys coming in, Jared McCain returning, the number 3 overall pick as a result of only winning 24 games a season ago, some people are, getting a little excited. And as Kyle, you put it in our description as you wrote that one up, just talking about how the new era of young guys, which is what we've talked about quite a bit. But Derek, they're pulling people back in,
or they're trying
to. So what we wanted to do today is talk about why people should maybe invest their time back into the Philadelphia 76ers new season, start off with some new things. Obviously, we'll get into the young guys. I'm sure we'll start off with that. But some things that we can all discuss here this afternoon as to why people should invest their time again with their basketball team.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's hard to sit here. Like, we have been in a championship or bust mode for so long that I think maybe you sometimes forget how fun it is to root for young kids who have legitimate upside, who have talent, and are easy to root for. And, I think obviously a big part of the process was the lack of expectations, the hope that something better was around the corner. When you look at VJ, when you look at Jared, even still Tyrese, who's still growing as a player, there is a lot of untapped potential. And there's a lot of untapped potential specifically in people, not just players, but people that you believe in. And I think that's a pretty easy sell. Like, I don't need every season to be championship or bust. I do like the developmental aspect of this league. I like watching young kids become who they will be when they hit their prime. And I also you can also talk yourself into okay, maybe this year's not a championship, level expectations. But if VJ develops, if Jared develops, if something happens unexpected where they take a massive leap that a lot of people didn't necessarily think was I don't want to say possible, but maybe they didn't think was likely, you can envision something great down the line. And I think you just need to give fans hope. Because look, there's only one professional basketball team in town. Like, people love basketball. If you love basketball,
For now.
yeah, that's true.
They did bail on us last season. Yes, they did.
But like, if you love basketball, I think for the most part, you want an excuse to be bought in, even if you know that there's going to be some pain. But now you have a reason to be bought in the young kids. And you also are able to insulate yourself from the pain because you're not expecting a championship. It's kind of the best of both worlds. And also there's like that 2% chance of everyone's actually healthy and you can't contend for a title. So there's reasons to be hopeful and optimistic and excited, even irrespective of the health of Joel Embiid and Paul George. There's a whatever percentage chance that they might be able to play regularly and really elevate you to a level that you may have thought was in the rearview mirror. And then there's a future. And I do think the future is, not to steal a line from our ad partners, I think the future is pretty bright here for the Sixers. I think there is, like I said, it's one thing to have young talent. It's nothing to have young talent with people that you believe in. I think it's a great spot for the Sixers to be in.
Yeah, I think the difference coming into this season versus last season is pretty stark, right? Because last year, you're coming in and all the signings, all the moves that were made, save for drafting Jared McCain, but sitting and picking at 16 is not exactly like, you're not viewing that as like, here, pulse of the organization type of move.
We
right?
view Jared McCain completely differently now than we did a year ago.
Yeah.
Like, the excitement's what did Vicini put him? Third in that draft?
In a redraft, yeah. Which, again, it's not the greatest draft.
No,
in the world,
it's not.
But also says a lot about what Jared McCain did. But we're coming into last season saying, hey, they got the biggest name free agent on the market. They lured Caleb Martin away. Kelly Oubre's back. Andre Drummond's brought in they're all moves that were predicated on the idea that this is a team that doesn't just expect to compete now, has to compete now, right? All the eggs were in the right now basket. And as one guy goes down with an injury, as Joel never really got going, as Paul George suffers through a series of different maladies and, knee issues that he dealt with, Pinky P, we have to revisit that from the middle of last season. You then turn around and you're like, there's just nothing future focused, no developmental story, not even like a Tyrese Maxey thing for us to sit and say, this is meaningful. This is something that we're watching this now. They're planting seeds that we're going to watch blossom later. It was scorched earth. All the vegetation is gone, right? And now they very deliberately this offseason said, we're not bringing in, they've retained some old guys, admittedly, but we're bringing in youth. We are making this team younger, more athletic, and we're just not turning the team over to them, but we're building the team more in this idea of let's get younger. Let's rejuvenate this thing a little bit, right? So we'll at some point in the show talk about the idea of, hey, it probably can't go as wrong as it did last year for the vets. Famous last words, obviously. But even if it does, you can go into this season, into October, saying, I want to see Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain and VJ Edgecombe, and just no matter what happens with them, right? Maybe they lose a ton of games. Maybe the lineup combinations don't always work. But there's a level of uncertainty and unknown and just future upside that will be behind every single game, right? Sometimes you'll get a game like we saw Jared McCain against Cleveland, right? Where he goes off for 36 points or whatever that was last year. Sometimes you'll see, do you remember the season before? I think it was right before the All-Star break when Maxey went to Utah and had that crazy game and basically put the team on his back and they won that one. You'll see some moments like that, right? And maybe there are not a lot of wins between those guys, but you can at least enjoy something and have it be detached from, oh my God, all the pressure is on these guys to compete right now, because VJ Edgecombe should be here for the next decade. Jared McCain should be here for the next decade. Tyrese Maxey has already been here for a half decade and has at least a half decade probably in front of him here, if not longer, right? So we can start this new era of thinking, this just kind of a reset on what everyone's expectations are, what they're trying to get out of watching this team every night, instead of God, they lost this game to Boston in November. Season's over. I don't care. Like, that's the mindset I think everyone needs to get away from, including us to some extent, right? Just shove all the baggage out the door and let's have fun watching these young guys.
I do wonder, though, how the fan base will just flat out flip that switch just like that because of what, Derek, you said at the very top. Championship contention every year for the last 6 years, where we've talked about a Joel Embiid-led team. He's still here. And while he's not that guy when we see him step out on the floor every single time, there's still that thing that just hovers over him of he's going to get it back. He's going to be Joel Embiid again. He's going to help you win basketball games. And I do think as long as he's around and he shows those glimpses of that all-star, that MVP, that all-NBA level player, that there's going to be that moment of seeping right back into that of let me sit myself down and expect them to beat the Boston Celtics on that random Tuesday night.
And I'm not telling people, hey, expect them to lose.
No,
right?
no, don't go out there
every
and do
game.
82-0.
Go
like
out
you say,
there and
start
win.
the season. Yes.
We'll go down the list. W.
Right. But I just think I'm just very curious to see when they would just simply accept the fact that is it going to be game 24? Is it going to be earlier than game 24? Will it be a little bit later that, yes, all right, it's Maxey, McCain, and Edgecombe here from here on out, where that's where the mentality just shifts, just like that. And I'm curious if we start to sit there and we start to see how it's going.
Big
and then,
breaking news
and
coming
then,
in.
Boom, they just do that. Then I'm very interested to see how that plays out as we talk about that. All right, breaking news here on the show. My phone is to my left. I don't have it. Kyle, you saw it. Let's drop it.
According to Shams, Josh Giddy has reached agreement on a 4-year, $100 million deal. So that is the big domino, or one of the big dominoes in restricted free agency. I think this probably helps the Sixers, if I had to guess, because
he was asking for 30 plus, right?
Yeah. We just said yesterday, right, that Giddy was the guy that we felt most certain was going to get long-term, big money, that Chicago had prioritized him in the Caruso trade, that all the noise out of their building this summer was that they were going to get a deal done, and was also, to your guys' point, asking for more money. I think the fact that he got 25, if you're a Jonathan Kuminga, if you're a Quentin Grimes, who do not have the standing in their respective organizations, I think this is probably the top of the market for restricted free agents in this class. And maybe this will be a sobering, like, I'm going to bring my price down a little bit and open up a pathway to getting a deal done. Now, I'm not sure that's actually going to be the case, right? Because I'm sure these guys are probably like, I'm better than Josh Giddy. That's the mentality you got to have as an NBA player. But you could hope that it goes that way.
Yeah. And the situations are so completely different. Like 215 Philly in there, which we said yesterday, Chicago had to re-sign Giddy.
Yeah.
Not really, because sunk costs is a thing that people make a lot of mistakes with. But I'm sure given the trade, given what they gave up, given where they are, given how well Giddy played, and just given the fact that there's no positional overlap like there is with Grimes in Philly, he was going to get more money than Quentin Grimes will. I'm not sure if Quentin would agree with that. I'm not sure if Quentin would think that was fair, but I think it was pretty clear that he was valued a little bit higher, both with his own team and both throughout the league. So does this mean that like Quentin will be maybe a little more realistic? Maybe get back to that 15 to 17 per range, something like that? I don't know. But I think it's probably good news. Like if this would come out like 110 million, 120 million, something like that.
If he got 30 per, that's where you're probably running into like, well, if he got 30, I want 30. This maybe is a reminder that even this guy, who all the advantages of free agency are kind of there for him on that team, he capped out at 25 per.
That being said, I don't want Josh Giddy at 25 per.
Listen,
the Bulls just keep doing Bulls things. Yeah.
Look, he will help you get the 38 wins and not have to, go through a rebuild. So, yeah.
Interesting.
You like Josh Giddy, Devon, right?
But I was
as a player.
As a player, yeah. As a player. He was one that I thought that would have, I think that was one of the things, I think the only one, maybe two out of the things that are predictions from last season. I thought he would have a pretty good season in Chicago with the basketball in his hands.
Why? Which one of our predictions went wrong?
We nailed
All
all
of
those
them.
predictions.
All of
Okay. But no, he really in the second half turned it up when they started winning those basketball games, and he was a big catalyst as to why they did that. I thought he was nuts, thinking that he would get, not to ask for, you ask for whatever you want to ask for, but I didn't think he would get anywhere close to $30 million. So for him to agree to 25 annually and get that $100 million, he saw what was there for the entire summer and realized he wasn't going to get anything better than that. And to take that risk, he is not Cam Thomas. He's a better basketball player than Cam Thomas. He sees the dysfunction between the Warriors and Kuminga, what's going on there. Not so much the same in Philadelphia with Grimes, but the fact that he liked the situation, liked that he had the ball in his hands, and they still offered him a decent amount, he took it. How does this impact now Quentin Grimes? It remains to be seen, but that's a decent deal for him. He should be happy with that, although didn't get the 30, 25 is pretty good for, especially for a
I
team
think that's,
like that.
I'm sure the Bulls were probably trying to haggle over 20, and so you end up at 25. I think I wouldn't, to Derek's point, I wouldn't give him $25 million a year. But wouldn't want him on my team.
No.
That is the Bulls' problem and CHGO's problem.
I do agree with Devon, just as a pure basketball player, and I'm limiting it to only on the basketball
Only
court.
basketball. Yes.
I do think he's a better basketball player than Cam Thomas, and your continued disdain for Cam Thomas, one of your more endearing qualities. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm just not paying him $25 million to play on my basketball team. All right. With that, since we had the breaking news, let's just take a quick pause. We come right back. We'll reset things, and we'll discuss more the young guys of being excited about the basketball team and the new era and how things may shift pretty quickly into how you view your basketball team, no longer just simply led by Joel Embiid, and even as early as last season, Embiid, George, and Maxey. Now it might be Maxey, McCain, and Edgecombe. We'll talk about it a little bit more on the other side right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast.
Guys, we've all been there. We go to a friend's house, you're getting ready to watch a big game, and their setup is a disaster. It's lagging, buffering, they're switching between apps, trying to find what they're looking for. They claim that they're a big fan, but you feel like you have been tricked. If you call yourself a basketball fan, you have to have Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination where you can find the best games and your favorite teams all in one place. And the way that you watch, it's next level. You've got all the action right in your living room, plus Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K. It's so clear that it feels like you're in the arena. Sometimes we've all got multiple games going at once because why would we not? There's lots of sports going on. On top of that, you get real-time notifications and live stats right on the TV. It's the best seat in the house every time. Next game, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box.
No restrictions being applied to the legendary Ford F-Series, the best-selling truck in America for 48 straight years. Thank you, Devon, as always. The F-150 blends work-ready toughness with modern-day tech and luxury. They have 6 different powertrain options, including a hybrid and a fully electric Lightning model. Best-in-class towing, up to 14,000 pounds, depending on the configuration. That's going to be more than enough for, like a regular use pickup, right? But also, if you're a heavy-duty worker, you're dragging materials around, you need this as a work vehicle. The F-150 has everything that you need. You also can turn your truck into a mobile generator. We don't talk about that often, but it's perfect for a job site or a tailgate, right?
Yeah.
We were just at an Eagles tailgate for Thursday Night Football.
Could have put that food right there on that flatbed.
Just perfect.
Perfect.
Right? It does everything you need it to do. It has a military-grade aluminum alloy body, tough, lightweight, and corrosion resistant. And then the inside, pretty damn nice too, right? The Max Recline seats, they offer nearly 180 degrees of recline. Great for naps or breaks. A tailgate work surface. So if you're a carpenter, you need to get some stuff done back there. There are rulers, clamps, and more built right in. You also have selectable drive modes if you're taking it out in the wilderness, off-road, wherever you need to go. Mud, sand, snow, tow haul, eco. Those are all some of the different drive modes you can use so that you're prepared for whatever the elements are. For more information on the legendary Ford F-150, visit your local Ford store.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers podcast presented by Ford. as Kyle
Thank
just
you,
tells
Ford.
you about the F-150 and, all the space there for tailgating. You got some big football games going on. You want to tailgate? You do that. Drive down to the arena, like check out the Sixers and maybe some baseball there as well, Flyers. F-150 it is right there for you. All right, let's tell you also about, before we step into discussing the young guys a little bit more, tell you about our supporters club. We're starting to see them in the chat. And the rollout started on yesterday, for the Supporters Club on YouTube. It's a new thing that we have going on. Again, just like we have our Discord, now we have the Supporters Club. True sicko level stuff, yes.
Yeah.
For the real ones. And the official Supporters Club badge. Look at the SC right there in the middle. SC right there, that's for you. What you get is access to exclusive emojis and more. And let's tell you about some price points because there are two tiers that we do have, $4.99 and $14.99. The $14.99 is a test balloon overall. Could be lowered to $9.99 in time. With your membership, you'll get a unique behind-the-scenes footage each week. We filmed ours last week. You have to go find out what it is by signing up to become a Supporters Club member. We did our own version, and if you would like to see it, go sign up for the Supporters Club, become a member, get your own emoji, get all that cool stuff, and you get great access with us here at PHLY. Sign up for the new Supporters Club right here at PHLY. All right, Kyle, continuing with the young guys. Why should the fan base be focused and excited about them while still having some semblance of they can win some of these games from here and there? Like we talked about in the beginning of the schedule when we looked at it and said, pile up some of those wins early. Try to get some of those early. And if you don't expect Embiid to be out there, what is it about the young guys that could potentially drive them to a couple of victories to keep them in that conversation when you do get Embiid and George back out there on the floor?
I think it's Derek brought up the idea, like it's not just about them as players, it's about them as people. Maxey, McCain, and VJ are hungry for success, right? Like Maxey is a kid who obviously won in high school, goes to a big time blue chip program. He comes into the league and he's immediately on a good team, right? That the benefit of getting drafted where he was is he didn't have to go through the retool, the rebuild, right? Like I have to lift this organization up by myself. I could come in and I get to play with Joel Embiid. I get to play with James Harden. I get to play with other guys who have done this and won at not the highest of levels, but at a higher level than a lot of organizations around the league. And he's been open. He's worn it on his sleeve. Like, I hate losing. I hate where we're at as a group. He's ready to get back to success. Jared McCain, perhaps even more pronounced, right? Like, won everything there was to win out in California, goes to a big-time program in Duke, comes here, and while he only played 23 games, he's not used to losing. He doesn't want that to become a habit, right? VJ Edgecombe, playing for a high-level high school team, goes to a very good big-time program in Baylor. Like, these are kids that wanted to be places where they're competing for stuff. They're competing for NCAA tournament deep runs, right? They want to be in the playoffs. They want to contend for championships, right? So some of it is about, that, hey, they come in and they have their individual goals. I want to be a better shooter, a better defender, whatever it is. But I think the thing that drives these kids base level is they are competitors who want to win. And I think that'll be reflected in what we hear out of training camp. It'll be reflected in what they say leading into the season. It's part of why Jared McCain last year coming in as a rookie, these guys are in the Bahamas like, holy crap, this kid is like blowing us away in these training camp practices because he came in and wanted to set a tone like, oh no, just because I'm pick 16 and we have other guards on this team does not mean that I'm going to be an afterthought, does not mean I'm going to be pushed down to Delaware and playing for the Blue Coats and I'm out of sight, out of mind. And so I think the mentality that these guys will carry into the start of the season is something to enjoy and watch on its own, right? Because one thing about the best veterans, a lot of them, I'm not taking no shots at anybody individually, a lot of them come in October and the first few months of the year, and they're just kind of feeling their way through, right? They understand the marathon and the race to the playoffs. While it matters, ultimately, like the games that everyone really cares about and invests in are so far down the road. And I think these guys can come in the first month and just, hey, big name on the schedule who's taking us for granted. Okay, you see what happens if you're going to carry it like that.
Yeah, and look, I don't want to tell you to expect Joel Embiid to play basketball regularly, because that puts you right back in that trap. And expectations just kill joy. But I'm also not telling you that there's no chance he could play. Like, we've seen everyone you talk to about this injury, yeah, like meniscus doesn't grow back, but you can strengthen stuff around it. You can get a little more used to, the playing through the pain. He might be able to play more frequently this year than he did last year. The great thing is you're not relying on that. It's like a bonus. There is a chance. Look, Joel Embiid, when he plays, is still an elite player, one of the best players in the world, and one of the most unique players in the world. And if you're telling me that we come in here and our baseline level of excitement is based around the 3 young guards, which it should be, that should be your focus coming in. But you have like this lot, this Powerball ticket that's not like a 1 in 350 million
I was gonna say
chance.
maybe a little better odds than Powerball,
but like might be like a 1 in 10 chance where he gives you a really meaningful season. When that's a value add and not what you're coming into this season, with your hopes and dreams built around, that has me excited too. I'm excited to see, especially now that so much of my emotional stability isn't tied to it. I'm excited to see whether or not Joel Embiid can figure this out and get back to playing meaningful basketball on a consistent basis. I don't think that's something to completely overlook. Like I said, I don't think it's something you want to come in relying on, because then you set yourself up to be, really crushed. It's the hope that kills you. You shouldn't have hope that he is going to be a MVP caliber player, but the chance that he can figure it out is, it's like I said, it's a nice little bonus value add.
So is that that's one of your reasons why we talk about the young guys being the reason, seeing how Embiid adjusts?
Well, I did lead off like the first block with the young kids. Like that to me is right. The focus.
No, that's what I said. Yeah.
But I do think it is, like I said, the fact that I am not as emotionally tied to him being able to play basketball consistently means that is a nice little perk if he is able to figure it out. Yeah.
What do you think about the Embiid factor as being something to just kind of watch and see how? We just talked about Ben Simmons yesterday and how these players are always the last ones. We've talked from Russell Westbrook to so many other players where they're the last ones to really realize it. But even after that long story in ESPN and hearing how Joel Embiid at least explained to that specific writer about how to focus on, hey, I'm gonna do it my way now of how I get out there. That is something for us to keep an eye on, because if there are some wins there that they are piling up here and they don't get so far in the hole like they did a season ago, when he is out there, that's again where people are just simply going to get excited about, hey, these young guys have been doing this. Now, what does Embiid do with them when he gets out there?
I think Derek framed it the right way, right? Where I can't go into this season thinking everything is just Joel, the way we've come in past seasons, and all the hope and happiness and success that you want them to have during a year is on his shoulders, right? If they're going to contend, that's definitely the case. But if you start at a lower base level, right? You don't come in expecting all NBA MVP level Joel. If you just come in and say, this guy can give them 25 to 30 good minutes more often than not and supplement what else they have going on, and in a best case scenario can get back to that highest level, that's as good of a bonus as you're ever going to get, right? There are not a lot of teams that just like a player that is becoming or is an afterthought with the fan base has the level of upside that Joel has, right? Yeah. And I don't want to do a apples to apples comparison with but he mentions in that long ESPN article over the summer that part of the issue that he dealt with when he had the initial foot surgery was getting people to believe like, hey, I think something is wrong and I think that we need to do an additional thing to rectify a problem I'm having, and getting dismissed and no, like we just think that you need to keep doing what you were told to do previously, and then being vindicated when they re-looked at his foot. Like, I'm not casting any aspersions at the specialist who looked at him last September, but it is possible that for a second time, experts looked at him, believed XYZ is what you should do. But then when that didn't happen, that Joel knew his body better than other people, that a surgery was going to help more than maybe they thought was necessary. And that while it's not a magic bullet, right? The meniscus isn't growing back. He's not going to become Joel of 8 years ago physically, that this procedure can help enough that instead of being like, we don't know if he's going to play, it's just more the Joel we envisioned coming in the last year, right? It's a guy who needs to be managed, who they need to be thoughtful about how many minutes he plays, whether he plays back-to-backs, but maybe this is what he needed to get to where they thought he'd be last year, right? Mm-hmm. And that would be a great thing, because where they thought he'd be last year was a player that they believed was worthy of that max extension that now is very controversial and looks poor in hindsight, obviously, being talked about this awful anchor around the franchise. But it could be as simple, in theory, that that's all he needed, right? Was do some cleanup, get some things out of there, move some things around, get on this treatment program. He's working very closely with the doctor who worked on the knee. And maybe that's just a deliberate plan that was lacking last year. That could be the difference that he needs. And if that's the case, the young guys are great, right? I'm most excited for them. Mm-hmm. But if you get something approaching all-star, all-NBA Embiid, you very quickly go from, hey, we can be a fun young team, to this Eastern Conference is open. It is there for you to do damage.
That was one of them.
That's what it's all about.
No, I know. Right? That was going to be one. I haven't given mine yet, and I know you guys have talked about the two. I was going to give that on the other side, just mix that in. So with that, let's take our final pause. We'll come back. We'll get into that. I'll start it off right away when we get back, discussing how the East is kind of open. And if they do the right things, if they do get some of those contributions from Embiid, the young guys play above their level, including Maxey, playing even again at that all-star kind of level as the lead guy, then maybe things could really start to get going for them in the Eastern Conference. We'll talk about it on the other side right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast, and it's presented by, I'll tell you on the other side, it's my folks. Oh, man, I've been asked to come out and play some basketball by like 3 different people saying, you been back out there? You coming out to the gym with us? And I'm like, I haven't done it yet. I have just going around shooting by myself, just getting some shots up, running fine, kind of simulating what it's like to be back out there and doing those things. I think I'm just going to do it now, folks. And I can do that because of Rothman Orthopedics and repairing my Achilles in 23, of course, my ACL in 19, and I feel good to go. Sometimes, mentally you're like, I'm not going to do it. And I hear what Al says. I hear what Nona says. Don't go out there and do it. But Rothman got me right. And Rothman can get you right too. Even if it's not something as serious as my ACL and Achilles and you're not dealing with that, but you're just dealing with some nagging injuries, some pain that you picked up over the summer, and you need to correct that so you can get back to being yourself as we get into these fall and winter months, where you can just go out and be you and not have to worry about this aching back, the shoulder, or that knee. You're all good. So with that, I got to tell you that in the area right now, you have dozens of communities that Rothman proudly serves across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and even Florida as well, with 30-plus convenient offices, urgent cares, and walk-in centers, including 3 right here in Philadelphia, located in Center City, the Northeast Philadelphia, and at the Navy Yard, where I actually had my last surgery for, my Achilles. And it was done well. It was done great. They're the best, and I would not send them to you if I didn't feel like they would do the same for you. So if you're looking to get right, you need to take the first step. Head to rothmanortho.com/PHLY and schedule your appointment today. That's Rothman Orthopedics. Your mobility, their mission.
And guys, we've all got those home repair projects that we have put off for months and months and months. And it's not because you're lazy. I know it's not. I believe in all of you. It's because you're uncertain. It's because you don't know how to proceed and you're in over your head. We've got a person for that. It's Ace Hardware. If you've got an outlet you said you would fix last summer at Ace Hardware Home Services, they've got the person to fix that. Because now they're not just the helpful hardware folks, they're also the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing and electrical to heating and cooling, they've got the trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services, they're bringing the helpful home, the helpful you love, from the store now to your front door, from Philly and to the Jersey Shore. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get you started on your next project.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers podcast presented by Rothman, of course, as we just talked about. And I do want to tell you that real fast, sign up to become a diehard member at allphly.com. Become a diehard member, access to the Discord, access to, you get a free shirt when you sign up. You get access to all the events that we do have and come to hang out with all of us, the folks here that make it run here at PHLY. Not only us, but you, when you are a diehard member and you buy back in. And one thing I want to tell you about is this happened on right after the Eagles won on Thursday. On Friday, EJ and the team, Bo, Fran, Les, they're going to have their version of what used to be the Monday morning quarterback, the early bird, where you get some different nuggets about the Eagles game and all some other things that you may not know about, some in-depth things from EJ, Bo, Fran, and Les Bone about the birds. Very cool concept, so please show them some love. EJ's first post went up on Friday after the Eagles took down the Cowboys. It's very, very good, and expect that throughout the season. Once again, the early bird every day after the Philadelphia Eagles play. All right, I got to talk about the fact that one of mine was going to be the fact that the East, outside of the top two teams, we still don't know where the Magic and the Hawks really fall into things, the Bucks as well. We're not quite sure. But when you speak about the Sixers being in that mix of the Miami Heat and the Indiana Pacers dealing with the injuries that they have and some of the other teams in the Eastern Conference, there's a really good chance that they could, as the numbers that we talked about with Las Vegas saying 41.5, 42.5. I think one of the publications that we read gave a prediction. Maybe it was ESPN that said that they were a 40-win team, I think it was. So somewhere right around
Which really
there,
is just saying they have no idea what to make of
No
this
clue.
team.
But neither do we. Neither do I. But the one thing we do know is that the East is open and it's up for grabs for some of those spots. And if they do find a way to catch a little bit of a wave and get those young guys going, you get some decent games from Embiid. We haven't even talked about Paul George yet. I get it. But with it all, could they find themselves just simply back in that conversation of, all right, the expectations are not as high as a top 3 seed in the championship run, but get in there and then see what happens once you do get there. There's a lot of experience on this team for the playoffs. You still have some young guys. They might have to find their way, but get there and then find out.
Yeah. And it really is like that ties in directly to the Joel Embiid, and we just don't know. Like, he could have a better season. But you don't even need like a, MVP level Joel. You just need him back for like 50 games, and all of a sudden the East opens wide open. It is, and obviously so much of that is tied to injury. You hate winning or having a chance at contending in the East because of injuries, but there were some very significant injuries that derailed 3 pretty good teams, some great teams. And it's just, there's an opportunity there. And we don't think it's likely that Sixers can capitalize maybe, but like I said, if we were just sitting here with, like, go back to last year where you have a 16th pick, you don't know what McCain's going to be, you don't have VJ, everything is tied to your ability to compete, it would be a very different feel that we're having in this podcast right now. But because you have so much excitement and you also have a player who could come back and be a top 10 player in the league miraculously, not many people have that kind of wild card on their team, and you have a wide open Eastern Conference, like, it's just, there are like 3 or 4 legitimate different ways a season could go and everything could play out, and it could be a good outcome. It doesn't have to just be one path to a 55 win team and contention. It could be VJ popping and being a much better rookie than you expected and showing you upside. It could be Jared McCain taking that next step and showing that those 23 games weren't a fluke. It could be Joel Embiid being healthy. It could be all these different kinds of factors. And having a multitude of options for a good outcome is always good, especially when you were so heavily tied to one big man's bad knees for so long.
Yeah, and I just look at the Eastern Conference and I say Cleveland and New York certainly deserve to be viewed as these are the favorites in this conference. Cleveland was a tremendous regular season team last year. The Knicks have made steady progress these last couple of years. But even those 2 teams as the cream of the crop in the Eastern Conference going into the year, they have plenty of questions to answer too, right? Like Cleveland,
Specifically Cleveland.
but even the Knicks fired their coach and they hired a guy who
I'm
has
looking at-
no track record of playoff success. So it's like
when I'm looking,
you could if you want to abstain from any kind of the Mike Brown and Knicks, but I'm just saying like they're a good
the
team.
reason I was saying Cleveland is because of the fact that they always find a way to lose in the playoffs.
Sure, and
that's the only
and I
reason
think
said
that's fair.
specifically
But so
them.
does Mike Brown. Like Mike Brown finds a way to lose in the playoffs.
Let's go, Mike.
And when he doesn't find ways to lose,
Figure
it's
it
because
out,
he
Mike.
has LeBron James on his team.
This
right?
is maybe the favorite segment we've ever had on the show.
So Cleveland, I agree. Cleveland had a tremendous regular season, and then they just got buzzsawed by Indiana.
And it was bad.
Right?
Yeah.
And years prior, they were not as good, but were a good regular season team. They get to the playoffs, and they're not as good as they need to be in those playoff series, right?
Yeah.
So the Knicks firing a coach who, whatever you think of Tom Thibodeau, and I have lots of thoughts on him, it's the first time they've been in the conference finals in quite a long time. They replaced him with a guy who does not have the most esteemed track record as the lead guy.
I didn't think he was going to get another job.
I think he's a very
honest with you.
respected defensive mind, or at least that would used to be his reputation, but now has to come in and like you're the main guy. It's a different sort of job. And after
in a
those
big
two,
market too, man.
for sure, there's a lot of, especially look, Tibbs endeared himself to New York generally, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of people in New York who say it was time to move on. Like he took us to this point, and then you say thank you, and you try to get the guy who pushes you over the top. I'm not sure I would have picked Mike Brown if I was going for that, but there's going to be some skepticism there, and there's going to be a level of scrutiny.
Yeah.
And you get past those two. So those two are still at the top with those question marks. You get to the rest, and it's like, I really like Orlando's core, but they're adding a completely new piece in Desmond Bane, and they battled injuries all last year, and the questions have all been centered around great defense, but is the offense good enough to win multiple playoff series? Indiana, Halliburton's going to be out all year. Milwaukee lost Dame, actively chose to get out of the Dame Lillard business after the injury, and got a good player in Miles Turner, but still ultimately it's like Giannis, Miles Turner, and Kyle Kuzma as
Who's
your
their point guard?
Great question.
Yeah, let me look that up while you talk.
So, but you just go down the list. Atlanta is one of those teams that I think has gotten pushed up into, they'll be a top 4 or top 5 team.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily because they have some like unbeatable roster. They do have a lot of players we like, right? Like Reece Shea had a good rookie year. Jalen Johnson returning from injury. You expect to continue to trend upward. Trey with more stability. Porzingis if he's healthy. But there's still a lot of uncertainty there, right? So I don't think there's this like, it's not like last year where you're coming off of the Celtics winning a title and it's like, boy, most of their team, the most important guys are like 25, 26, 27 and have this huge runway in front of them with good infrastructure and a title winning coach. It's question marks up and down the board, right? So am I saying that that means the Sixers are a contender? Of course not, right? All that ultimately circles back to Joel. But there's at least some breathing room that you have where like every game is not, oh, you lost that game, season's over, right? Nobody that I can see, save for maybe Cleveland, is going to come into the year and just like, well, we're going to win 60 games, right? It's going to be a crowded East, and that benefits a team with uncertainty like the Sixers.
Yeah. By the way, Kevin Porter, Cole Anthony, and Gary Trent Jr. are the guards that make the most sense.
Cole Anthony was the one I forgot. I was going to say Gary Trent, but I was like, he's not a point guard.
Yeah,
So
but they did have Kevin Porter running a lot of point when he took over for Dame.
I think the real answer is Giannis will essentially run point, and it's going to be Giannis and shooters, which with Miles Turner and his shooting at the 5, that's compelling to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Kuzma third option part that I'm giving a little bit of a side eye to.
Yeah. Forgot about Boston being in the mix there somewhere in there.
Oh, I did leave out Detroit.
And
Detroit is probably the one that's like, they're a solid playoff team.
Probably top 5.
I think, I would say.
I could even see them challenging like Atlanta for a 4.
Before?
I think
Especially
3 or 4 for them is
Ivy
definitely
back.
in play. But even still, they're a largely untested. They played one playoff
and we
series.
talked about how they did lose Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. And say what you want about either one of them, they were huge in what they did. And now you're asking Duncan Robinson to come in there and do his part. And the other one, I forgot who it was that they signed. But they have to live up to that. But getting Ivy back is huge, and they have the rest of their team there as well. Another year under Bickerstaff, and they look pretty good, so they'll be in the mix.
And again, if you want to circle back to the coach, like the whole reason Bickerstaff is coaching the Pistons and not the Cavs is because he ran into that Cleveland problem where it's like, hey, we think we need to get the guy who's going to take us to the next level, right? Now, didn't really happen last year, but we'll see what he does when it's not just, hey, we're happy to be in the playoffs.
Some interesting pickups in the East. I'm sure we'll talk about that as we get close to the season, and which are we more intrigued from afar and seeing what they look like. All right, Kyle, what's the next one for you that maybe has you saying, and we haven't really seen a lot of you tell us what you're excited about that's pulling you back in? Yes, the jerseys and all that stuff, the black jerseys, we get all that. And by the way, they did announce, what was it, Monday? That they announced that they are, in fact, going to be celebrating the 2000-2001 Eastern Conference Championship team, which we've talked about a lot on the show. Yes, Bree. And there's some dates that they have up there already letting you know that they're going to honor the team. Black jerseys.
Yeah, they can't. They still won't come out. And there must be a date that the NBA is releasing all the throwback edition. Because I think they're not the only team that has one this year.
There's about 16.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know it's separate from the City edition. So I would imagine that it's some kind of structured NBA rollout.
How many games is that, Bree? Like 12? Was that about 12 games there that they're going to be doing that? So either way, yeah, it's going to be about 10 to 12.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 14. I do love, nice touch, by the way, the Raptors, the Lakers, and the Bucks are all part of this. 100%. You just need the Pacers to really complete the circle. But
absolutely.
Really love that part of it.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, what's your next one that maybe has you intrigued about, you know what? May not be so bad.
Well, I know we talked a lot about the young guys. I want to talk about VJ specifically, right? Okay. You don't get top 5 picks, top 3 picks that often, right? You don't, this team that has been competing for, deep playoff runs and rolling off 50-win seasons and mostly being firmly in the playoff picture. You don't get opportunities to add blue chip talent all the time, right? And while we have gone through all the VJ debates, our friend of the show, B Pump, with the go-to move thing, and how do you get all these guys on the floor? Like, I'm really excited to see what this kid looks like on an NBA floor. And I think the more that we were around him in Vegas, those stories about VJ where it's like, you're going to love this kid, like all the positive, when we talk to scouts and coaches and people that we know around the league that are like, I've heard just tremendous things about him. And then you actually get to meet him, and then you see him going through summer league work and practices, and you hear things from, or even just like you see all the different activities he's involved in all summer, right? Working with trainers, working with Tyrese Maxey. He's in the gym early with Maxey and Watford and Broom and a bunch of these guys in the Sixers facility. I think that having a guy with his level of talent and athleticism and also level of seriousness coming in is just going to be such a gift to us, right? Like last year, it was tough watching games at times where it's like, I don't even know if this team's going to show up to compete every night, right? And I don't think that's going to be a concern for him. I would also look at the team and be like, man, they're slow. Man, they lack dynamic play, right? And then by adding this one guy, right? Maxey has a built-in partner on every fast break. Maxey has a cutter on any potential drive, any potential, pick and roll type play that this guy could just at any time beat his guy backdoor and get to the rim. Like there are just so many opportunities for athleticism to flash. And frankly, with no disrespect to our departed friend, Ricky Council IV, for that athleticism to come
Go
in,
get him, Rick.
a basketball player with real mechanical skill and a game sense.
You can't say like no disrespect intended.
Well, it's like, look, Ricky
specifically
Ricky
brought
had
him up.
skills when he would apply them in the right way, right? But the problem was trying to get him to do that, and not playing off script the way he did. I think VJ is a rare young kid he's very serious. And he will buy into, team concept and whatever he's asked to do. So you get the benefit of the young legs, the athleticism, while also like some defensive stability that's rare from a young guy. I can't be more excited to see him play for the Sixers because they just don't get many guys like him really ever. I asked you guys the other day, probably yesterday, who's the best wing they've had who can actually shoot, and VJ shot is certainly a question. You go through their history as a franchise, those players just don't exist. So
they exist, just not in this franchise's
well,
history.
that's what I mean. It's like they only exist outside of Philadelphia, and I'm hoping that they have one of those guys that every team needs to compete. And I want to be in on year one, ground floor, and watch what happens as this kid and his work ethic takes him, up the stairway in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kyle's point is right. Like, you just don't get a player with that kind of upside, like a third pick has, very often. It's especially, look, last year was tough. All right, we had to go through a lot of stuff to get to that point. It is, we talked earlier about how we felt at this time last year, and it was all like, I don't even want to go to what our preseason predictions were, but it was in the 50s, all right? It was comfortably in the 50s.
I did take the under. It's one of the few things I got right.
Bree, bring up the Coach of the Year preseason predictions, please. No, I'm kidding. But, it is to go from that high to that low really sucked. But you do have a guy who, like Kyle described, you have a lot of belief in the short term that he'll come in there and do the right things, and a long term because he has so much, athleticism and so much room to grow. Having that to watch is going to be special. And to a lesser extent, but just because Kyle brought it up, like you now have a young athletic team that you can get behind. Adembona as a backup center, I am, and Kyle's, I'm sure, going to throw cold water like, well, look out for Andre Drummond to be the backup big coming into camp.
Yeah, my favorite player on the roster. Yeah, you got me.
I didn't say it was your favorite player. I'm just saying you're trying to throw a dose of reality.
You got me.
I'm just saying you're trying to throw reality back in my face about Nick Nurse and most coaches. But like having an actual guy who might be a solution to a decades-old problem, who's also fun to watch and has athleticism and showed so much, growth last year when he was actually like, oh my gosh, he can put the ball on the floor a little bit. Like he not only can he now catch a ball, which is beginning of the season we weren't sure he could. He's taking like one or two dribbles to attack a dribble handoff. Like him having that room to grow, that athleticism for a spot that we just haven't had a solution for in so long. I'm excited about that.
Also, just to play into Devon's type a little bit, think about how excited people got for KJ McDaniels when he was on this team, right? That you just had this nuclear level athlete who once or twice a game would just go up and make a play, and you're like, wow, I can't believe that just happened. Now imagine that was a good basketball player and all the lob potential that's there on either end, right? VJ can be a lob thrower and a lob finisher. He is certainly proven capable of both. You inject some athleticism into fast breaks. You inject athleticism onto defense, into the half court. Like it's just everywhere. And then you add Bona. You have Justin Edwards' young legs, right? Like they'll just be more spry and faster. And I think because you add someone like VJ, we begged last year, play different styles, right? Lean into, use Maxey's legs, use Jared McCain's youth. Now you have another guy, and now you have a backup that you feel better about. They can just build more of an identity that is not walk the ball up, dribble handoff, meander around a little bit. Like you got to stop, or even if you don't, run. Just play with some pace, right? It doesn't mean you're going to win playing that style, but it means we don't have to watch them trot up and down the court, slow as can be every night. I'm really excited for that.
You just bringing up KJ. They've had some athletic wings before. KJ, Rodney Carney, Zaire. Just none of them could play any bit of basketball. Yes.
And this kid can play some basketball.
He brings some juice that they haven't had at that position in a while. He really does. So it's also been just funny to watch the conversation around the NBA. It's been quiet, but relatively really quiet around him, where you just don't hear a lot about him. You hear a lot about obviously you hear about the number 1 pick and you hear about number 2. Ace Bailey, of course, is going to get a lot because of how things were handled and dropping in the draft. But it's been really quiet around VJ Edgecombe. So I can't wait to see when the season starts and he forces the conversation to be talked about if he does, in fact, do that. So really looking forward to it. Just because like when you talk about the wing thing and we jokingly, it's crazy that the wings, that non-shooters and all that stuff, but they've had some okay wings that can do a lot of other things, like Hall of Famers, of course, and Julius Erving.
Dr. J, one of the all-time greats.
But it just makes me think of what, when we were talking about prime Iguodala, what that could have looked like here if he had the right people
if
around
he had
him.
Tyrese Maxey or like a Maxey-type player with him.
Yeah, or even if Drew Holiday turned into Drew Holiday along with him and what that role would have been like. Now, this kid doesn't have to be thrust into it. Just like Iguodala didn't have to be thrust into it at the time. He could, when you pointed out, he just kind of stole that job as that starting role. And VJ Edgecombe doesn't have to come in and be the savior right away, but we are looking at him with the spotlight on him of, figure it out fast, my man, so we can get this thing going and maybe even make a playoff run in your first season. So very, very curious to see how that goes and how he forces himself into a lot of conversations around the league as one of the best rookies. Before we talk about overtime and all that stuff and get to our news and notes, is there anyone else or anything, doesn't have to be a person on the floor, it could be something else, where it does have your excitement level of, they're going to pull me back in because of this. I know some people were saying they're really excited. Trendon Wofford.
For sure.
They're interested in him.
You can say Hedva by name.
It was Hedva, but it were a few other people that I saw, and I just don't
I'm just
remember.
making a joke because she's like obsessed with Trendon Wofford.
Yeah, definitely. And other than that, the Watford piece, other than that, everybody else is just like a show me.
Jalen Carter avoided suspension, boys. Let's go.
That's a good one, too.
Sorry, more breaking news.
Thank goodness, because getting suspended for that would have been patently absurd.
Get the fine and
They
move
basically
on.
said that the game he was ejected for served as the suspension.
You mean that he played 0 snaps? And I think that's basically a
Let's go.
Good, perfect.
Go Birds, baby.
Yeah, now you just don't slap Patrick Mahomes.
No. You're done on dumb stuff for the rest of the year. Yeah.
Your quota for stupid nonsense has been hit, sir. You are under the microscope. Play it cool.
It was fine for the Super Bowl. You were blowing him out. You smacked him in the face, and you got away with it. Don't do it again. Just sack him and move on. Is there anyone else outside of Watford that you might be excited about with this team?
I mean, Justin.
I mean, we didn't do a whole McCain segment the way we did a VJ thing, but it's so obvious.
It's
right?
built in.
I think I don't want the hype train to go completely off the rails with Jared, obviously, as Bree throws up a beautiful graphic there to show you exactly what he did. He was by far the best rookie last year when he played.
It wasn't even close.
It was not close. Now, guys by the end of the year came in their own. Castle played really well. Reece Ashe played really well. Alex Sarr had moments in the final few months of the year where he looked better. But this kid came in right away. We were like, he's going to spend time with the blue coats and whatnot just to be physically able to handle the league. And he came in and he was just ready from day one. I just, all the signs you see in terms of preparation, the skill, the inherent skill that is there, say he's going to come back ready coming off of this injury.
All right, everybody, you know what time it is. It's time for overtime at allphly.com. Thanks, everyone on the television side. We will see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. for sure. But unless you want to keep going, head on over to allphly.com to continue this conversation, plus our news and notes that will be coming up shortly.
But yeah, not only is he, and I think he's got a pretty significant amount of upside. Like, I think his play style is so valuable for almost any superstar that you could pair him next to, whether that's Tyrese, whether that's Joel. Just having that kind of gravity and, frankly, that unpredictability, like movement shooters just cause chaos on a defense. It's also really fun to watch. Like, he can drop 15 points in a quarter on like 5 shots, and you're just like, whoa, that completely changed the game. It's an archetype the Sixers very rarely have, outside of a little bit with JJ here and there. It's, I think, something they've been missing. Just a guy who can get high volume threes up and accurately with a lot of diversity. Like I said, I really do think movement shooting is just one of those skills that it might not be as sexy as some other skill sets, but I think it really, really does fuck with the defense. And I'm very happy I can say that
look
now.
At that.
Because we
First minute of overtime, Derek did the old school. Put the earmuffs on.
It's very clear that the young guys are at the top of this whole conversation of things to watch out for, be excited about, to pour you back in as a Sixers fan for the 25-26 campaign. Doesn't hurt that the black jerseys are back. And a bonus of, if Embiid is right and you get 50 really good games out of him and they make the playoffs, he is easily shoots right back to the top. If he shows some form of Joel Embiid, it's Giannis, and then it's him. And then you go on down the list, of course, of Brunson, Mitchell, and so on. And some others have to show for sure in that setting that they are certainly worthy of that conversation. But the young guys, and then if you can get Embiid right, this basketball team will be talked about, hopefully as a surprise team in the Eastern Conference for all of you in the fan base. All right, let's get to a few news and notes. We start off overseas with some play from a former Joel Embiid teammate.
Oh, boy.
A no longer teammate, but one that has the fan base, man. Fan base loves this guy. And then he said this that's going to bother a lot of people, even though he is Furk. Let's play it, Bree. Let's let everyone hear what Furk had to say.
Till now, I think Joel Embiid was the best player, best center that I was playing. But I think we can tell that it's Alperen now. So it's great to be around him, He's enjoying playing basketball. He helps us a lot on the court defensively and offensively. I think he's a special kid. And every day he's trying to give his maximum. And this year we are also seeing that he's playing aggressive defense too, not only offense. And that gives us a lot of confidence on the front court that we pressure the ball well. And he's helping us from different ways. I hope that he has still a long way to go. He's going to grow a lot, and then we're going to see much better basketball from him from this year to next year to another year. He's going to keep adding it.
All right, Furk.
So I'm not going to say anything to disparage Sengun, who's really damn good and is also hooping his ass off in this tournament. So
but not in the same stratosphere as Joel Embiid, especially defensively. That's just...
I will say, the Rockets had the second best defense in the league last year, and he was one of their most important players. So I think there's
you put those athletes around prime Joel Embiid, and that would be historic.
That's fine. You also put a bunch of athletes who can't shoot or dribble, and he was the offensive cog that really made the whole thing work, right?
He's great. I like him.
I think I think people are too harsh on him defensively, in part because of the aesthetics. He held up fine in the playoffs against really a team that now the offense didn't hold up the way it needed to was the bigger problem, but against the Warriors defensively he was fine and one of their guys that actually did look like his regular season self. That being said, there's a little bit of a difference between the level he's at right now and the level that Joel was at as an MVP. Certainly one of the only reasons that Furk was able to hang around in the NBA was because he played next to Joel Embiid. So,
and like Doug Craig says, FIBA is not the same as the NBA.
No,
and
it is not.
It's totally different. So I agree with Doug. I agree with you guys.
I will say,
give your guy credit, especially in the moment.
100%.
You're right there with him. You say whatever you want to say, but we know. And we like Sengun here.
Like, my initial reaction is like, Furkan, what the bleepity bleep? Oh, I can say that now. What the hell are you talking about? Like, get to your senses. My second reaction is like, it's his teammate.
Yeah, it's his teammate. He has to
and it's also, take into consideration,
Countryman.
he's very proud of his heritage. And so his teammate for his country playing this way, I think probably makes him feel a certain way. So
that's fine.
Whatever.
Yeah,
but Joel absolutely better.
Yeah.
For now, maybe Sengun will become, baby Jokic, and we'll see.
Yeah.
But,
all right, this last news and notes. Kyle is going to explain this one.
Well, am I? I sent it to Bree, but I don't know if we're actually
allowed to. Well, you can just explain.
All right. So recently we had a discussion about that Devon prompted. There was a ketchup smoothie from Smoothie King. I discovered
there it is.
There is a Caesar salad martini.
Not a chance in hell.
At a Pensport bar.
I will take a ketchup smoothie before I drink that garbage. No.
Wow. No love for a Philadelphia bar. So I did send the article. I think it's behind a paywall, so I'm not pulling it back up right now. I think it also, on top of having the Caesar, has some sort of hot sauce component or buffalo. I don't know if you consider buffalo true hot sauce. That's depends on who's making it, I suppose.
Right.
So they apparently originally did what we would call a classic Caesar martini, which is disgusting. Now it's the spicy Caesar martini is being sold at a bar in Philadelphia.
You warned me about this before the show, but you didn't tell me what it is.
I didn't. I was like, I want you to react
This
naturally.
is so much worse than anything I came up with in my head. This is so much worse.
Look, I mean, they made it look it's like Bloody Mary adjacent in that picture. There's no chance I would ever drink that.
Unless that is like the worst marketed thing in the world and you just made up the Caesar salad part of the martini, then I'm not touching that. I don't care what it looks like.
When I read the story, it appears that the owner of the bar saw some kind of viral TikTok trend. It was like people trying to make Caesar salad martinis and was like,
I can do that.
Why not us?
Right.
Like trying to bring people, because you know how that goes. Sometimes people just have some kind of ridiculous novelty that's not because they especially want to make it. It's just like people will talk about it on a Sixers podcast and be like,
maybe I'll
go try it. And then you get them in the door to have normal drinks and normal food and whatnot. But
I'm out. I don't even. And of course, I don't drink, but I'm out. I'm not trying.
All right, hold on. Before I say it's universal, Brie, would you try the spicy Caesar salad martini?
Yes, but the Caesar part sounds awful. But I think the hot sauce is like the saving grace. So
no,
and I love a good martini. I'm not.
But
gonna
you can put hot sauce on anything. You don't have to put it on garbage.
I do like hot sauce in my drinks, though. So, I mean, I'll try it.
I like a spicy Bloody Mary, but I feel like this is 2 or 3 steps removed from the spirit of a Bloody Mary.
The Caesar dressing in there is just too crazy. I'm sorry. I can't do that.
Is there a food-wise, not drink, is there a novelty food at an establishment locally that you've tried that you were like, this was a weird thing that was put together?
I can't remember the bar that does it.
Yeah, it was just a thing.
There was or maybe is a bar in Philadelphia that they do burgers where the buns are donuts, which I'm going to just say it doesn't need to happen. It's a thing that you're like, yeah, I'll go one time. And you're like, Because I think I went under the pretext of I love chicken and waffles, right? The sweet with the hearty or like salty that you get in that type of meal.
Got to have the hot sauce. And
I think that in the same breath, I'm like, maybe that same concept with donut burger. And then you have it and you're like, I'm eating a donut burger. What the hell is it?
What about you, Derek? Any concoction that you've tried somewhere that was like, that was odd? Bree, got one? I have one.
Okay.
Radio Days. Someone in Manayunk, a restaurant. I don't remember the name, so I apologize if you do watch the show. They have a peanut butter and jelly burger. And I was like, no shot am I trying that. Love burgers, love peanut butter and jelly. And then they sent one in for us to try it. It wasn't bad. I wouldn't buy it, but I tried it and I wasn't.
That one's not too crazy.
Yeah,
Well,
but I mean, it's not like we're going to sit there and be like, let's put peanut butter and jelly in a
Yeah,
burger
no.
together.
That one to me is an odd combination. Like I would never in a million years think like, let's combine a peanut butter jelly sandwich and a burger. But they're two things I fundamentally like. So I would at least have like an open mind about trying it.
But you like salad and drinks.
Not Caesar salad.
All right.
Oh, well then,
That
no
I didn't
wonder
know.
you're so.
I didn't know you didn't like
opposed to
Caesar salad. Okay. Yeah.
I like Caesar salad. I would still, no chance in hell I would drink a Caesar salad martini.
Yeah. So that was my weird one that I've tried. And
All right.
that was
Well.
it. That's the news and notes, everybody. We appreciate you hanging out with us. As always, make sure you go sign up to become a diehard member. Check out our, it's the month of giving right here with the Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and our we got to tell everybody
Supporters
about
Club.
the Supporters Club that we want you to go sign up for as well, so you can be featured even more in our chat as well.
And if you sign up, maybe Devon will remember the name for next read.
I have it right here in front of me, and I was saying something else.
Winona said she had octopus and thought it was clams. I like both clams and octopus, so I would eat either of those things.
See, I struggle with octopus because they're too smart. To me, they're too smart to eat.
I think that's fair because honestly, if there's an animal that would take over the world,
Yeah.
it's octopus.
Well, not only they're clearly very smart.
Yeah.
And they're also clearly not from Earth. Like they came down from another planet at
They
some
look
point.
like aliens.
They're not Earth.
The ocean a little
these
bit freaks me out.
Yeah.
The deep ocetion is like
You think?
there's so much of the earth because of how vast and deep the ocean is. We just have no idea what's down there.
No
it's
clue.
just like a crazy thing to think about.
No clue. No
Anyway,
shot.
enough of this is like a edible conversation. Like, you know what's weird? The ocean.
No shot.
Gotta like rustle my hair and anyway.
We could have
Thank
one
you,
of those
everybody.
shows.
We can. Yes, we can. All right, let's
Maybe
get to
when
it.
we're in Vegas next year.
Let's get to it. It's the world famous. It's the roll call, everybody.
Wow. Right in at the end, Jerome comes in and says, I missed the show. Damn, LOL. So
It's
you
there
didn't
for
miss the
you.
roll call, brother. Thank you for coming in and hanging out with us today. Thank you to Marcus Blackstock,
What up, Mark?
to B Knight,
Be night.
to Peter Tom Willis. 3 names in one. Look at that. Doug Craig, Dave P, our guy Yams,
What up, Yams?
my girl Nona, Jess, Val, Percy Swint, 215 J Philly, Provolone John, Hedfa.
What up, Heffa?
You done messed up.
Yes, you did, Aaron.
Hey, Aaron.
The only one of those names that's carrying over to the original YouTube.
SB Cole, I Gavini, Will, Ethan Hartley.
What up, Will?
Say what?
Say what?
Eugene Ross, Theo, Sean Havern, who said early in the show, first time season ticket holder. I'm trusting the process. I'm going to have positive time. Love that energy, Sean. The bull RJ, who on the other side of things, always coming in with negativity.
Always coming in hot.
Hello, RJ.
We'll see
I
him
feel
for
like
3 weeks.
we haven't seen RJ for a while. now.
No, he's been
Been a
in,
couple weeks.
he's
Enjoy
been in
the
hater
summer.
hiatus. Yeah, I was gonna say he's trying to get all his fun activities out of the way because then when the cold weather hits, it's the player haters ball in
Yeah.
the chat.
Play it right from my own heart. I'm right there
Thank
with
you
you.
also to Art. Thank you to Sal, and thank
What up,
you
Art?
to Mom's grandchildren. What's up to Mom? Thank you everybody who was here today. On the way out, if you could do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live.
Roaming Rome.
And hit the thumbs up button to say thank you, super producer Bree, for all the graphics, all the wonderful things behind the scenes. Thank you for being a part of our show. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Until then, stay safe, take care of one another. Goodbye.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.